You're very welcome back to the Daily Rundown with me, Drew Tosh, and my guests Tom Short and Ashleigh Talbot. Now, a court hearing designed to force Apple into compromising its security systems for the iPhone was cancelled because they potentially had another way into the phone of the man responsible for the San Bernardino shootings. The news comes after more than a month of heated insistence that the only way the FBI could examine a locked iPhone used by the gunman was for Apple to let them through the phone's security system. But Apple sees this as a privacy issue and doesn't want to give access to our personal data to the government. So do we like the idea of someone snooping into what we have on our phones? I suspect, Tom, you do not.
Actually, my phone is relatively clean, I'd say.
Well, we've actually got your phone at the moment. We've put it. No, we haven't.
The most obscene thing on there is sorry to take this into the land of smut. Occasionally, I'll have a spot on my bottom, because I have no way of seeing it other than the phone. That is the only way of seeing it.
Right.
So that's literally the most...
I think the government's not going to want to see that.
You'd be surprised.
It's a very interesting type of selfie, you know?
Yes.
It is.
Like...
That's way above and beyond.
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of being able to access, I mean, I find it terrifying that anything we have online, whatever, is so much more easily accessible by other people, other parties, and sort of we realise you might look up something on Amazon, like a gift or something, and the next thing on your Facebook page, there's an advert for that very same type of gift. That freaks me out. That freaks me out. The fact that the government can then snoop around with access via Apple is pretty horrifying.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, is that the advertisers are doing it all the time, and what the government is saying is, you know, we need this for a criminal investigation, and this relates to, so I guess...
Which is fair enough.
Yeah, exactly. But then again, it's like the mantra of this particular episode, isn't it? It's like, well, where do you draw that line? You know, at what point does the...
Once they have access.
Yeah, it's like they can then access anybody's phone legally and technically, and it's like, well, okay, what's there to stop them? I mean, admittedly, the thing is, it's going to be very, very difficult for any organisation that gathers a load of data to tap literally all the phones and all the email addresses and keep a constant watch over everybody. There's literally not enough people on earth to do that with.
Are you telling me the Dark Knight lied to me?
The Dark Knight did lie to me.
What?
Which, Batman, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's how they solve it. They solve it at the end by tapping everyone's phone.
Oh yes, literally everybody's phones. They had a computer program to do that for them, didn't they?
Well, so did the FBI.
Oh yeah.
So fiction and facts becoming blurred.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just occasionally in a Facebook conversation, I like to throw in the words bomb and sort of terrorism, just so MI5 know what I'm up to. Because I'm actually really quite boring. Plus, I want them to watch this show. Hi, guys. So, you know.
I think the cynic thing's finally coming to the fore here.
Yeah. Well, being a professional cynic would mean I get paid for it, which I don't, you see. And that was a cynical comment. You see how it works?
Yeah, I'm getting there. Yeah, I'm getting there. I mean, the other thing, of course, that happened last week was numerous celebrities, their iClouds were hacked.
Really?
So pictures of maybe a more personal nature of, I think it's people like Jennifer Lawrence and Reese Witherspoon and stuff, were suddenly available.
I've got a list here.
Yes, it was you, wasn't it? On the one hand, it is a huge invasion of privacy. On the other hand, why are they taking those kind of photographs anyway when they're in the public eye?
Well, I mean...
They are just people, though.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is naive if you're somebody who people want to put in their newspapers to have anything out there, knowing how things now work, that everything's accessible now, that nothing's really private for long.
Well, I mean, that's in a way that's kind of blaming the victim, though. It's like, well, if you don't want nudes plastered all over the internet, don't take nudes. And it's like, well, actually, we were having a splendid evening, and I wanted some mementos, sort of thing. You know, it's like they are just people, and so to say you have to do something different with your life because of what might happen because other people are horrible. You know, it's like it seems a bit like too much of a restriction. Who'd want to become famous? Although, yet, having said that,
fame.
Here we are.
You don't have to worry about that for a while yet, Tom.
I mean,
no, you don't have to worry about that.
I'll release the pictures of my spotty bottom.
Who's going to want to see that?
There is a scandal. Right, when I'm famous, Daily Mirror, iPaper, The Guardian, they're all going to be vomiting but want to put it in their paper.
Do you think?
Yeah.
So they'll be vomiting money, which is quite useful for you, I suppose.
It is, as a comic who doesn't have a DVD out, like, I'll take any handouts.
Yeah, so like maybe you can ask them, hey, all that surveillance footage you've got of me, could you send it to me? because I want to edit a DVD together of my best
Make
moments.
a show reel, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Well, we found the silver lining in that one.
yeah.
Right, we'll move on to our next story, and Scotland's First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, is against raising the starting point for people to pay the 40p tax rate. Today, George Osborne has admitted that disability cuts were a mistake. Now he admits it. He has told MPs he was sorry, but it was too little too late for Ian Duncan-Smith, who resigned despite being proud of their work together. So in the aftermath of the budget, it's all a bit of an old mess for the Tories at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not doing well.
You both seem delighted about this.
Yes.
Yeah, because I feel like the majority of the country, like they only got, was it 24% of the votes?
I don't know.
And
not
that-
enough for me.
And that
to me,
equated to 37% of the seats, which equated to 51% of the majority, which equates to essentially 100% of the power to do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
So as a result, I mean, what are we? Are we dictatorship light?
It is difficult though, because, and far be it from me to knock any Tory bashers, but they are really in the mess at the moment. I mean, they're imploding from within. I mean, to say, for George Osborne to say 1 second, this is the budget, this is my policies, and then to actually regret it a week later, isn't that a bit feeble? Shouldn't you stand by, even if you kind of think it was the wrong thing?
I mean, you'd hope so, but I mean, these are politicians. You can't expect them to behave like a normal, decent, moral human being. You know, I mean, I'm still mystified by the whole Ian Duncan-Smith thing and what that means. As you say, it is a right old mess, because I thought Ian Duncan-Smith was kind of like the sort of spectral enforcer of the party, saying, yeah, these policies are great, lots of people will freeze and starve to death and go back to work and die because they weren't ready to go back to work, and I'm absolutely fine with that. But all of a sudden, now that's a problem. You know, he's only just resigned after being responsible for all of those really horrible, horrible things that he did to people who are on benefits, and not just people who are on benefits, actually. So one of them saying one thing 1 minute and the other one saying one thing another minute, and you're right, it's an absolute mess, and it's just makes me either want a snap election, which would be slightly better than option B, which would be armed insurrection. So,
Okay.
but I'm up for either, frankly.
Right. Well, we'll maybe park that to one side for the meantime. But I mean, it seems to come back to the same question that we come back to all the time. What's the agenda? What's the subtext to all this? There has to be something, because you would not have a policy 1 week and then apologise for it the next. Is it apologetic to try and save face? Is there a plans to overturn the decision? We don't know any of this yet. So what's the plan? What's the kind of the subtext on here? What do you think the agenda is that we don't know about?
I think that a lot of this boils down to we're 6 months on from the media shambles of just running Jeremy Corbyn ragged, and he has made it through that, and now there's less and less straws for them to clutch to make the opposition look weak and feeble for whatever reason, to the point of put on a shirt and put on a suit and do up your tie, and as they are falling away, that way of moving forward is clearly looking more and more ridiculous, but also the spotlight is being put more and more on that party for the shambles of what they're doing.
Because they've also got the impending EU vote in June, which is pretty much make or break for David Cameron, isn't it? If it's a vote for no, he'll say that his position would be untenable and he'd have to probably step down from the leadership. At the time of the last election, he didn't seem keen to stand another term anyway.
Yeah.
So where would that leave us? It feels like the country's slightly without a captain. Whether you like the captain or not, we're a little bit rudderless.
Well, maybe that's the subtext, because it has been suggested by more than one person, really. I've seen it in several places, that Ian Duncan-Smith's resignation was about Europe for some reason, and there was some sort of disagreement or whatever. But then in IDS and Cameron have sort of been the polar opposites in terms of Europe, haven't they? Because Ian Duncan-Smith has said, yes, we should leave, and David Cameron's like, no, we should stay. So they've already made their positions on that clear. So then to say his resignation was about Europe, I mean, was it really? I mean, I don't know.
That was the tactful reason, possibly.
Perhaps, yeah. I don't know. I just
It's never great for any leader if their own parties start to turn against them. And that's something that we haven't really seen with the government, this government certainly, to this extent. Are people just jumping ship? Are they just suddenly thinking we cannot defend the indefensible, especially in the result of the things that happened in the budget last week, and how, as always, the poor are the ones that get most affected, whereas the fat cats are relatively untouched?
Yeah, it's particularly hard, I think. So in the last government, they had their coalition with the Liberal Democrats to fall back on, and they did. They blamed a lot on them and that coalition. And in, I believe, Jeremy Corbyn's latest Prime Minister's questions, I think it was, but I might be wrong. They said that that you blamed this on the last government,
as they always do,
and you were also in the same position in the last government, which means that the blame lies on yourself. So I think, like I said before, I feel like they're basically grasping at straws, and they're running out of things to blame their own incompetence on.
Okay, it's interesting. I mean, what you're saying about a snap, if there were suddenly a snap election, that would be pretty fascinating, because I have no idea how that would swing.
No, I know, just at the moment, but the thing is, I think everybody's so uncertain, so you kind of, I don't know,
And now we're looking to the word of Nicola Sturgeon.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. And, we're now getting on with the substance of the story. How long do we have left?
10 seconds.
Okay, super. Well, just quickly then, and it's time for a break. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, we'll do that then. We'll be back in a couple of minutes with more of these news stories, so join us then.